Welcome to another edition of Motivation Monday presented by Getting to the Issue. I'm your host, Dre, my main man, Bishop.
It is, brother.
All right, ladies in production.
Hey.
And we have a very special guest.
Very special guest.
To round out Women's History Month. I like to say our very first sponsor.
Right.
And
she's so modest.
yes, she is. We have Miss Kim Bo. Kim Bro with Fleurty Wick Brands.
Yes.
Kim, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a fan. And, what better way to celebrate Women's History Month than having you as our final guest as March, we round out March. And, before I just share, how we connected, can you just share a little bit about your story with our audience? I know when we first met, I know you talked about, I think you was working in corporate and you transitioned to being your own business owner with Fleurty Brands as a boutique candle company, and so now we could expand. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself, about your business.
Sure. So my name is Kim Bro. I'm the owner of Fleurty Wick Candle. The business is going into its fourth year. As you stated, my previous career was with Nationwide Insurance. I was with them for 15 years, and I handled all the marketing, community outreach, events, and sponsorships for the region.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for about 6 years. I was a sales manager for the last 2 years with the company, and prior to that, no secret. So my dad used to race cars. So my actual background, I trained auto adjusters. I ran a body shop for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm a car buff. So actually, I trained auto adjusters with Nationwide. That's how I started my career with them. And prior to that, I lived in Australia for a couple of years where I worked as an air traffic controller.
Wow.
All these little
Variety,
things.
right?
Yeah.
Multifaceted.
Because I can fix things. So
Right.
yeah, so I worked as an air traffic controller for the Royal Flying Doctor Service. I had 2 King Airs and 1 PC-10. And prior to that, worked at a body shop, and then prior to that, worked for Allstate Insurance. So the bulk of my career has been in the automotive industry.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You have an engineer's mind somewhat.
Yeah, I like to fix things.
Like to fix things, right?
Yeah, put things together and all that. So, so as I stated, I was with Nationwide Insurance for 15 years. Started the business after having another business. So this business wasn't something that I intended to do. I actually had an online pet store, and I had a little dog. He passed in May. So I had little dog clothes and little dog leashes and collars. So I would sell the stuff, and I went to Hong Kong and created my own product line and did all that. And there was a company that I would buy candles from. They were a pet candle, and they went out of business.
Okay.
And so I decided to try to make the candle. One of my girlfriends had a candle company, and I had asked her if she would manufacture them for me. And she actually started a family, and then decided she didn't want to do that any longer. So, me being the overachiever that I am, taught myself over a weekend.
Stop.
Pause.
Over a weekend. That's right.
I did. I taught myself over a weekend, and I'm just like that. Then gave them to my friends to test, and the business literally morphed from that because they wanted candles. So I wasn't starting off to have a candle business. It just happened.
It just happened.
That's how God normally works that thing out.
Yeah.
He just kind of drops it in on you,
Yeah.
and makes you realize your plan
Exactly.
don't necessarily coincide with his plan. So he'll have you do a pivot, and you don't even know you're pivoting.
Right. And I've always wanted to have my own business. I've always read Entrepreneur Magazine, and I've always, I was in my storage unit a couple of months ago, and I wanted a vending machine business and a laundromat business, and I still have all those business plans
Oh, wow.
in my storage unit. Yeah, and
Wow.
this was, God, 94? I mean, it was a long time ago.
Wow.
I had a Chick-fil-A application there because at that time they were looking for minority founders, and especially minority women. I still have that application, so I've always wanted to do it, but because I was working a corporate job and making a lot of money, 5-bedroom house, BMW, Range Rover, throw it in the bag.
Right.
I was not trying to start over.
Wow.
I was accustomed to quality of life and did not want to sacrifice that. And so, like I said, I started the business January of 2017, and October 5th of 2017, I got laid off. And we weren't supposed to be affected by any of this stuff. And we got the phone call, and I would tell my mom all the time, it's like, if I didn't have this damn day job, I could do so much more with the business.
Right.
And so when I got the phone call, I come home and say, Mom, how is the damn day job? And she's like, Paul, wait a minute, because she knows I'm not the type of person to just jump out the window, and I'm not that person. I'm planning everything. And I told her I'm just gonna go for it. So I've literally been running it full time the whole time.
Wow. What I'm hearing you say though, Kim, is that for years you knew what you wanted to do, and you were planning, you were working on business models, you had business plans and different things. And then to Bishop's point, sometimes I think the saying goes, when opportunity meets, and those things happen, right?
And I knew it was time. I felt it in my spirit because at the time, so my business strategy is a bit different from most.
Okay.
Because, oftentimes when you tell people you make candles, and now it's kind of a joke, I just tell people I make candles, let them think what they want. So you tell me, I make candles, and like, oh, you're in your kitchen. Like, no, I have a facility,
right.
And so it's my business strategy and the way that I go to market is much different than most people because I help people build their brand. So I have a brand that I of course had to establish in the market, just so that I would be able to, provide a product so that people can see that I know what I'm doing. But 95% of what we do is create brands for other people. I teach classes to other women on, how to start a candle business, help them create their product if they need assistance doing that, or just teach them and let them go. So I'm basically teaching you how to fish, and that's my give back.
Right.
So I teach I have 8 classes really, and I teach women, business acumen, because I can teach you within 15 minutes how to make a candle. But that's not it. You have to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
And if you can't sell it, it doesn't matter how good it is. And I'm a salesperson. I can sell you a rock. And I try to get that into other people. It's like, don't spend so much time on trying to perfect the product because you're not perfect. It's hand poured, it's handmade. It's not going to be perfect. But if you can sell it and get people to understand, that they're helping you to build your business, helping you to provide income for your family or whatever, that's where you start getting traction.
That's the beauty of it being handmade is because then there's not one that's identical to the other.
No, not at all.
Right.
No, they're all handcrafted. Most of them have custom scents. We offer 350 different scents and over 225 different vessels. And so I've positioned myself within the market as the largest minority manufacturer, basically in the South. No one has the inventory that I have.
What I found amazing when I did my research on you, Kim, is that you're giving back as far as training, but you're also providing internships and you're giving money to the homeless. You're hiring homeless teenage girls, 16 to 21, and you're giving back. So you're very philanthropic.
Yeah, I have an extensive background in the nonprofit service industry. I served as board chair for the American Red Cross, for the American Red Cross Minority Recruitment Board. I served on the board for Safe Kids Georgia, Habitat for Humanity, the American Fire Foundation. I worked as the community investment volunteer for United Way for the homeless sector, making recommendations for funding for the impact fund to the board. So I have a very long, vast history of helping others. I also have my own nonprofit where I've assisted young women to put them through college. So that's kind of a passion for me. And when I started my business, I knew that I had to step back from that because I didn't really have the time. And so what I've done, instead of providing a service, I donate the money to the nonprofits that I was either working with or ones that I'm familiar with their work because I served on their board, and so I give back to them.
I was just going to ask the question, that old adage that you can sleep after you've passed, you was taking that thing serious, wasn't you?
I don't sleep a lot, but I enjoy what I do, and I'm very high energy, so it's just me, I'm always full steam ahead, so.
Wow.
And you've inspired me. Our viewing audience don't know, but the folks in this room know. On 3/31, it's my last day at IBM, right? And
how do you feel?
I feel like a weight is off.
Don't you know?
To be quite honest. And my manager, when she told me, she was crying and And I'm looking at her like, what's wrong with
Good.
My question was, what's the package look like, right? And
Exactly.
And I don't feel any stress.
Yeah.
I don't feel any stress. I'm not tripping about a job. But it's funny. And I was telling Dog this, just as soon as that happened, folks start calling me for directors and VPs positions, so I leveled up, right? And it speaks to, again, what God has for you. You might have one plan, but He'll have another, and He'll drop that thing on you. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it except try to ride the journey.
Yeah, and it's I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, this has been a very difficult time, especially trying to grow a business in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, I don't have the same. It's stressful. It's exhausting. It's all of that. But I would not trade. I'm not that tired that I want to go back to work.
Yeah.
You just
it's
make it
a different type of stress.
It is.
And I've owned my own before, and I just woke up C&C Associates Consulting. But it's a different type of stress when it's induced by you.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And you know that the harder you work, the more you can make. Whereas, at a job, there's a ceiling. Your boss isn't going to pay you enough to be his neighbor.
Right.
Period.
Yeah. What's inspiring to me about you, Kim, is that, and share a story, and later on where, we first kicked off getting to the issue. It started from, us guys and a few females sitting around having a good cigar and a nice adult beverage, just have intellectual conversation.
Of course.
And so we just kind of summarized, let's push this over and do the podcast. And so you were the first one to kind of reach out to us. And
I was so excited for you all.
We thought we had made it.
We got a sponsor, right? It was so amazing. I just want to say this to the audience. And the point I'm trying to make is this. Kim didn't have to, but she did.
Right.
She saw something that she was inspired by, men having black men having intellectual conversation and pushing the narrative to give back. And so she reached out and she invested in us by, sponsoring us and giving us some of your product. And in turn, we have now become friends and we invest back in you. So, we thank you for that, Kim. And not only that, we celebrate you as we celebrate Women's History Month. And I just want you to, for a moment, just, because I know there are many women out there that were in the same place that you were in, working the 9 to 5, they got the house, the car. What level of inspiration can you help them with taking that leap? What can you share with them, to make them go ahead and take that leap and pursue their dreams?
Well, I think the first thing is oftentimes people think that they have to quit their job to start their dream. And I really would not have been able to fund or get as far ahead as I am had I not been working. So a lot of the infrastructure that I was able to build out, a lot of the and I work from home,
right?
So I was able to build my business and work around, that thing. So I think the thought that you have to jump out of the window without having some security, I'm kind of on the fence with that. I think having a job is helpful, because I did. And then of course, when I got laid off, I had a severance as well, and so it wasn't a matter of me just literally jumping out the window. I had some money in the bank. So there's that part of it, but I just say just go for it. I don't believe in the spirit of fear. I believe that I am where I'm supposed to be and things are happening the way that they should. But I was very apprehensive about it, and I wish that I had the courage to do it sooner. So, having the courage to do it sooner and being with someone that understands your drive and supports that. I didn't have that. And I feel like I could have really been much further ahead in this journey had I had that when I was married. And I did not. And so now I feel like I'm playing catch up, which is fine. Everything happens the way it's supposed to. And you can't expect, people to understand your dreams and your vision, but it's key. It really is. You really have to be sure that the person that you're with, or if you're dating or whatever it is, that you're aligned so that person understands what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Because a lot of us women, we just trying to get somebody. We're not getting that far on the road.
Yeah, and as the word say, it says being equally yoked.
That's right.
That's right. Making sure you're equally yoked.
That's very important. But again, just go for it. Don't be afraid to take the leap. Don't be afraid to, and you have to work. I work a lot. I work probably 14 hours a day, every day. There's a lot of work.
Right.
But everything that I do for the business, I brought my corporate experience with me. So I have leads, I have prospects, I have goals, I have daily goals, I have weekly goals, I have monthly goals. I check that weekly up against a spreadsheet. I look at year over year. So I'm not just producing a product. I'm looking at the numbers constantly every day because I have rents.
Right.
True business.
Rents. That's more than one.
Rents.
Right. That's like 3 S's.
Right. And electric bills, and the electric bill at the warehouse last month was $700. It's like so you have to have know how much money you need per month to run your business and know where that money's going to come from.
Wow.
Because it's not just going to fall out of the sky. You have to have a plan for it.
Yeah.
And so all that I learned from my corporate job. I have a strategy document that I do fourth quarter year before on what I'm going to do for the following year. There's a plan. Even with COVID, I just to share a little bit with you, my second year in business, my mom had back surgery, and she had Achilles tendon surgery at the same time, so I had to go back and forth to New Orleans, and I woke up one day broke. I didn't know where the money went.
Wow.
I didn't have a dime. Because I was taking care of my mom, and that was my focus.
Right.
You had nickel and dimed it.
I wasn't paying attention. I was taking care of my mother.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, you have your moment, and anyone that knows me out in movie land, y'all, they know it's like you can cry, but you got 15 minutes of that crying stuff, and that's what we're gonna do. How we gonna fix it? And I couldn't move. I was numb for days. And I realized it's like, okay, well, how do I fix this? What is the immediate thing that needs to be done? Okay, the rents need to be paid.
Right.
Because I sold my house. I sold all my cars. I sold everything and moved into an apartment. I downsized everything I had.
Sacrifice.
Yeah, I just got my nails done last week for the first time in 3 years.
Wow.
That's how much I sacrificed. Everything. Right.
Yeah.
And so I started driving Uber. I drove Uber, I drove DoorDash, I drove Instacart. There's no pride in this journey. You have to do what you have to do to save your business. And the immediate thing that needed to be done was all these rents and internet bills and electric bills, and they all had to be paid. So how are you going to get paid? Okay, well, you got a car, let's go. And so I drove Uber for probably 3 months. Got back, I had my moment, got back on my feet or whatever, and then when I realized and I looked at my numbers, it really wasn't as bad as I thought. I panicked.
Yeah, okay.
I panicked.
That just speaks to a point that my dad used to always tell us. He says, anytime real hardcore emotions come into it, all rational thought processes go out the window.
It does. It does. I panicked.
Wow, and I think they got some for
Yeah, so earlier you mentioned, in addition to making counters, you also offer classes. So how can our viewers find you?
Look at you.
Yeah.
High five. On the website. So the website is fleurtywick.com. That's FLEURTYWICK.com. Or you can look at Instagram. It's fleurtywick, at fleurtywick on Instagram or Facebook, Twitter, all those different platforms. And so all of the classes are listed on there. So there's an all-day class that goes into half the day is the business class. The other half of the day is a hands-on portion. Then there's a half-day business class, a half-day marketing class. There's a, I think, an hour and a half, very high level how to make candles class. There's a blending class. There's a lot of classes. The only one that has to be done in person is the all-day class because there's a theory and practical, I guess you could say. But the rest of them can be done via Zoom as well. Yeah.
Wow. Great. Thank you.
Are the costs listed on the site?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and they can be scheduled at any time as long as my calendar is open and we don't have anything crazy going on like we do right now. I don't have any power right now because we had a tornado hit last week.
Yes.
So I've been at power since Thursday.
Wow.
Two inches of water in the front and 4 inches in the back and shoveling water for 3 days.
Wow, that was rough. We'll be praying,
Yeah.
Hey, it's Motivation Monday presented by Getting to the Issue. We have our special guest, Miss Kim Bro with Fleurty Wick Brands, and we're so ecstatic to have Kim here. She has a great product, and Kim, I was reading that, and you mentioned something about in your experience, you wanted to get into pet. I know you have candles for pets as well, right? So talk to us about the line for pets. So are you working on that? Is expanding that brand or what?
So the pet candle again was the whole reason for all of this, and it's been on the back burner the whole time.
Okay.
And only because the business just really it took off, it took off, and I really just forgot about it, to be honest with you. I did. Then the dog died. So, like everybody knows the dog, Sydney with my little Shih Tzu, he passed in May. Actually, the day that I was moving, he died right in front of my old warehouse. It was the weirdest thing. So I decided to honor him because the whole thing is after him, that I would go ahead and get that going. So I'm in talks with a platform that's helped me reach out to Petco because that's what I wanted to do in the beginning. That particular product, and I'm not really interested in having a product on the market, but as far as a regular candle, but that product I do want on the market. And so I'm working with them right now to try to get that placed.
Wow. Well, I tell you, the candles that you provided for the guys, I'll be honest with you, man. I wasn't, men, we're not really big candle guys.
I am now.
I'm sold, Kim. And I promise you, I took that candle home and I was just like, candle for men?
But you know what? I was selling these candles out of the trunk of my BMW at Cigar City Club when I first started.
Really?
Yes, because I had just I created the men's line sitting at a bar because I wasn't a smoker or anything.
Okay.
I was really at a cigar lounge supporting a friend of mine who had opened the lounge, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, oh, what about men's stuff,
Yeah.
And so I'm smelling the smoke, and I'm thinking, and so I asked a couple of guys at the bar what their thoughts were, and they're like, yeah, we don't do that. I was like, well, what's your place smell like?
Right.
Like, well, it doesn't smell like anything. Okay, well, your woman doesn't want it to smell like nothing. She wants it to smell like something, And so I created 8 scents that infused very well with cigar smoke.
Oh, wow.
Took them back to the same guys, and these guys were cigar distributors.
Okay.
Took them back to the same guys, and they were like, oh my God, we love them. I was like,
There you go.
And so I started placing those candles in cigar lounges around Atlanta. That's how I caught that whole thing started.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I would keep them in my trunk.
Okay.
And so the guys knew that I had them, and they're like, hey, can we get some of those candles? Like, yeah, come on.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're just in the Atlanta area right now as far as men candles go, or you
No, I've taken my products off of every shelf. I don't want any retail. I don't have anything. I'm only doing private label for other people.
Awesome.
So the only place, I told you, it's a whole
I can't get Man Cave anymore.
For you, yes.
Okay, all right.
For you.
Should I light mine or not?
I've
had it in a
light the candle.
I've had it in a Ziploc bag. I'm like, man, I don't even want to use this up. You know that country. I don't even want to use this up.
You can light the candle. But no, I like I said, I had my brand when I started. I've established myself in the market. I have a solid brand now. I don't have any desires to do any type of retail. So I pulled it completely off of the shelf. And all I want to do is go to the warehouse in my shorts, create candles for other people, put them on a pallet, put them on a truck, and go home.
That part.
I call that value proposition.
Value proposition.
That's it. Yeah.
She's a distributor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't have any interest in merchandising and I don't want to do any of that. That's not. I don't want to deal with people. None of that. Just sell it and.
Yeah. If you got the business mind, you think in terms of revenue, you know where she's keeping it.
Right.
That part.
I just want to put that out there for the aspiring businesswomen.
She's cut. Yeah. She's cut off overhead. And everyone else is taking on the overhead.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the retail space alone. When you're in a strip mall or a mall or any, it's ridiculous. Rents and no. I've got a great team. They do production work out at the Tyson plant in Rome, and so they're accustomed to high speed, putting output, and it's like we just get it done.
Wow.
So it makes it easy.
Wow. this is just really worthy of celebrating.
Right.
There's so many amazing. We've had some amazing women on throughout the month, and we really want to get you on. So glad we got you here because what you're doing not only is that you're pursuing your passion and dream, but you're giving back, you're helping others, and you're teaching classes.
Yeah.
You're lifting as you move up.
Yeah, and the other thing that we do too is I try to use as many, preferably African American women-owned businesses for all of our products and services.
Okay.
So before I go to Staples, I try to see if I can find a sister that has a business. Because we have to help each other, and I don't subscribe to the all black businesses are bad businesses. And you have to remind people. Right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I've had customer service issues. I've had service delivery issues. I've had every issue you can think of. I've had during this pandemic. But you can't let that beat you down because we're in a pandemic. And then if that's not your norm and it's just a one-off type situation, that's a different situation than you dealing with someone that just has poor customer service. So we try to find businesses that we can do business with. We use recycled products as much as we can. We use biodegradable peanuts so they dissolve in water, so they're environmentally safe. So we care about the environment and the community. I'm not just trying to make money. And so I think that makes a difference, and it encourages people to buy because they know all these things on the back end.
So by going green, that keeps you in the black.
I'm hoping so.
Wow. No, we're saying it so.
So with the name Fleurty Wick Candle, will it stay the same? It would.
I changed the name. Initially, when I started, it was Fleurty Wick Boutique Candle, I think.
Okay.
And then I decided last year, because I'm thinking ahead, right? So the business, I'm growing the business to sell the business to travel to and die. That's the plan.
That's the plan.
So in doing so, I changed the name of the business to Fleurty Wick Brands.
Okay.
And then under that umbrella of brands, I have a supply company that I started prior to COVID that I kind of put on pause because I didn't want to type a lot of money because the goal is to be the only African American female-owned candle manufacturer and supplier in the country.
Wow.
That's the goal. I haven't found one that does both. So that was the reason for the name change. And so I have Incandescent beauty. That was another dream I had to have a beauty supply store.
You got the dream.
Supply company, Fleurty Wick Candle Supply, which is the private label section, and then the retail. I don't want to do any retail, but I'm probably going to license that. So that if someone else wants to open a Fleurty Wick store, they can. And it's already established, and all of the marketing materials and supplies and everything will come through us. So when I'm ready to sell it, it has all these different legs, which will make it more appealing to someone to buy the company. Yeah, and so hopefully, when I am ready to sell it, a Yankee Candle or somebody will come along and buy me out, and I can go to the Mediterranean somewhere and just smoke
and watch your money grow.
Exactly.
It's amazing, because what you're talking about is just it provides a platform and knowledge for our listeners because the way you're setting that business up, like I said, most people that start businesses, successful businesses, they want to eventually sell them and get have exit strategy, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people that are in the candle space, I'm not personally, intimately attached to the product. A lot of people that make candles, they don't want someone else's name on it. They don't want to do private label because it's theirs. I'm not coveting the candle. I don't care whose name is on it because it's got to come back to me buy it.
Right.
So, that whole, I don't really subscribe to that, which makes it easier for me because, I do talk to them before they leave. I give them love and I tell them to go out. No, I do. I tell them, I said, go out into the world and be loving and kind.
I guess the question I have, do they talk back?
No, they're not.
Okay.
But I give them love before they leave. Right. So they do what they're supposed to do when they get where they're going.
Wow. It's Motivation Monday presented by Getting to the Issue. We're talking to our special guest, Kim Bro with the Fleurty Wick Brands. And I tell you, she has great products. Make sure you go out and visit her. You can find her on IG, Facebook. I think you mentioned your website, Kim.
Twitter, Pinterest, all that. Fleurtywick.com.
Fleurtywick.com. Fleurty, Wick.com. So check her out, man. Support Kim. You know, she's a black businesswoman, black business owner, and she's giving back. She's giving back. She showed us. She gave back to us, and so we want to definitely support her, continue to push her brand. And what I'm hoping, to be honest with you, you know, Kim, myself, Nate, and Ron, you know, we have some travel, and we know you're doing private labelings and all this. With all these different cigar events, some of these other people will reach out and get you to make some private labels for them.
Yep.
So we'll definitely be pushing that.
You know, we might be able to even have a conversation surrounding making private label for getting to the issue.
Listen to that Bishop over there.
I know, right?
Let's go.
The cosmic attorney.
I ain't got your MBA for nothing, brother.
You know, I think, you know, one of the things I do want to highlight, Kim, and because I think most of us do that in our career. You talked about all the different levels of experience that you had, with Nationwide to, you know, doing things with your hand and the pets and all that, and you took all that experience and you combined it to help drive you towards, you know, your company that you have now. You know, and I think oftentimes when we're going through and we're working over here, we're working on that, we really don't know what it's for.
Right.
Right.
You know.
We really don't know what it's for at the time, right? You don't know what it's for at the time, and then you find out what your passion or purpose, and then you maybe be a serial entrepreneur.
Right.
And then all that comes back.
And to be honest with you, I didn't really understand why the candle making came so easy for me until last year I got a call from Shark Tank.
Oh wow!
And yeah, that's what they called me twice.
One of my favorites there.
I didn't do the application this year because I just didn't do it. But they called me twice.
You don't need it.
So well, I do need it. But I don't like a lot of fingers in the pot. But anyway, last year they called me and I did a phone interview and got advanced to the second round. And my business mentor, Kevin Grimes, I called him and I was like, okay, Shark Tank called. I'm not really interested in that whole thing, and I don't want to do that because if I need money, I ask my mama for it. I don't want to do that, And he's like, well, you can have 100% of what you have, or you can have 10% of a couple $1 million. Which is it? He's like, come in my office and let's talk about it. He's the only person that when he tells me to come, otherwise I would have just gone home and said, forget it. Yeah. So I went to his office. They were in town that weekend, and so he downloaded the application. Okay. And in the hopes that I was going to go stand in, I guess, line at the Suntrust. Well, it was Suntrust at the time. I don't do mine, so it's like, I'm not doing that either. But we went, I went and we were going over the application. And he basically was coaching me on how to answer the questions. And it wasn't until that point that I realized that I've always been that person that made things. Like I've always made facial soaps and hair conditioner for my hair, and I've always made stuff. Okay. And so that's something that it never crossed my mind as to how that part of it was so easy for me. Because in my mind, I was just thinking from the selling it perspective, and I think because I was fresh out of corporate, and the reason I've been able to scale the business up so fast is because I was fresh out of corporate and I used my corporate business acumen to grow the business, and I'm creative second. Where really, I'm really a creative first, but that was kind of
prioritize.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Wow, I think you're speaking to a point of exploration. You know what I mean? Because we're trained to go to school and do this, and we get an education, we get a degree, and then we gain the skill set from working here and working there. But you have to spend time with yourself to really see what it is that you want to do, right?
Yeah, and I didn't, like I said, I went to the Catholic school I went to private kindergarten and then Catholic school 1st through 12th, all-girl Catholic high school, straight to college. Decided I didn't want to go to college, I wanted to model, and my dad was like, well, you're going to have to get a job. And I didn't have any skill set because I wasn't allowed to work because I was a girl child. Right. So my first job was in a body shop. Wow. And so because that's all that I could do. Like I went to a headhunter, and she's like, well, at that point, can you type? How many words can you type? And I've always been this person like, I don't want that. I want the man job because they make more money. Right. So she's like, well, no, we don't do that here, darling. It's like, how many words can you type? I'm like, okay, well, I can change the engine. Does that make a difference? She's like, oh, okay. So my first job was at a body shop. And so, even like my pot broke a couple of weeks ago. I fixed the pot. I didn't have to wait. Right, I didn't have to wait for the people to, waiting for them to call me. We're in a pandemic. They don't have the part. They have to send the part, and they have to walk you through how to put the part on. I can do that myself. So all those little things, just kind of help to grow the business that I just really don't even think about sometimes.
Yeah.
So like times like this where we're kind of talking about.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It really is. And I think in terms of where we are now with the pandemic, you mentioned it, and we know a lot of service industry jobs went away.
Correct.
That are not coming back.
Correct.
There are a lot of companies that have now realized that, they don't need this office space.
No. I work my entire career from home. I've never been in an office.
Wow. So what do we say, what is the outlook? What are we thinking in terms of what young people need to be really prioritizing right now as it relates to the workforce dynamics that are out there? You see major changes?
I can't really wrap my mind around why it's such a big deal to work from home. I'm not getting that. It's like it's this big deal to kind of get people out of the office and into their home. You're more productive at home.
Yeah.
You're not driving, you're not talking, you're not taking lunch half the time. As soon as you sit down, most people, there are those people that have to be supervised, of course. Right. But for the most part, they're getting more work out of you. So I just think we just have to be creative. And I know for me during the pandemic, and I'm a thinker anyway, but it really pushes you to think and kind of pivot, and what I was getting to earlier about the whole Uber thing. With that situation, I saw the hole and I allowed myself to continue to go into it, and I fell into it, and I had to dig myself out of it. With the pandemic, I saw it coming and I pivoted real quick. And so I took all my classes, I put them online, I did things to save my business.
Oh, wow.
And so I think, to your point about the young people, I just think we have to think. A lot of people are just coasting through life.
Yes.
They're not thinking.
Yes.
They're just on autopilot.
And say that again.
You got to think.
Thinking. Right.
You're not thinking.
And sometimes, in order to get there, you have to be comfortable with yourself, right?
Of course.
I think what I've learned over the pandemic is I don't need the background noise, right? So I don't need the television on. I don't need music on.
But see, I don't even watch TV.
Right, and I don't watch it that much anymore.
Yeah.
I was watching a lot of it, right? I was a CNN junkie, but now I'm not there anymore. And what I found is I calmed down. My stressors are not so stressing, right? And I'm not tripping off of the waves of what's happening in the world.
Everything isn't urgent.
Right? Everything isn't urgent. And what it allows us to do, if we just cut everything off, and I'm going to get spiritual just for a minute as I always do, when we cut everything off, we can hear that quiet, still voice speaking to you. But you can't hear it when you got the noise on.
No. That outside chatter really, it kind of takes over your brain and it takes over your life,
Right.
And one of the things, for me during the pandemic, because I've been constant going. And, one of the things that I love to do is travel. And I haven't been able to travel since I started the business because I can't afford it. And so when we went into quarantine, I still went to work every day because at that point I didn't have staff, and so I was the only one in the warehouse, so it didn't matter if whatever. But I was still home at 4:00 because there wasn't much to do. And so I'm on the patio and I'm like, okay, this is what people do. I never had a regular work day, and so I started reading again because I had stopped reading. Now I do drink a lot of wine and smoke a lot of cigars. I'm not even gonna lie there.
Hey, you gotta have that.
I gotta have a thing.
Nothing wrong
We can't have it.
But I know my mother is watching, and she's like, "You smoke too much." I'm like, "Ma, I gotta have something."
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, sorry, Mom.
Sorry.
The cigars got me through the pandemic, but it just really allowed me to kind of stop, reassess my life, reassess the people in my life, reassess, where I am in life, what it is I'm trying to accomplish. Am I taking the best route to get there? All these little things that really that I had not stopped to think about because I did not stop. And just even to stop to hear the Lord speak to you. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just gotta stop. And when you're constantly going and life and I don't have kids and all that, but as I can imagine, people with kids and stuff, you're constantly going.
Right.
And so you're never at a point where you just kind of pause.
Yeah. I do want to ask you a question, Kim. You mentioned that you went to Catholic school, 1 through 12, right? And you also talked about thinking. And I oftentimes I work in education and higher ed, and I consider myself, to be one that shares knowledge and that has a passion for our young people.
Mm-hmm.
And to think, your education in Catholic school,
Mm-hmm.
somewhat different than public
different.
school. Very different, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so what I see now is that our kids are going through school, they're taught how to do this, do that, take a test, do this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
And the thinking piece that you're talking about, you talk about creativity,
Right.
being innovative.
Right.
And so the masses of our young people are not being trained that way.
No.
And that's where I see the gap.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not even so much that. I mean, even, for us, because, for high school, it was St. Mary's Academy in New Orleans. They taught us to be young women.
mm-hmm.
And so we were always to be respectful, to act accordingly, in uniform or out.
Okay.
We could not raise our voices and curse and just we were young ladies, and they called us young ladies.
Mm-hmm.
They treated us with respect. We learned respect. These kids don't have that. And this was part of our everyday, every day.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, respect and acting accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in addition to getting a great education, we were taught those life skills that these kids are just not getting.
It is not to say that our public schools, because we
No,
have a lot of public
no,
schools
no.
that do a great job.
Absolutely.
We have teachers that take,
Absolutely.
efficacy, and they do that with the kids.
But just
we're talking
overall,
overall makes a difference.
It does. I mean, the parenting is different now. I've got plenty of whippings by neighbors, and then you start coach to your mom come home, and I remember running in I was in elementary school, and this little boy was chasing me. I ran.
I can attest to this. That whole scenario that you just gave, that's so crazy to me because, we were taught to be chivalrous. We were taught to open the door and whether that be a car, the house, or whatever.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And it becomes second nature
That's right.
to us. I was having a conversation with a young lady the other day, and she said, well, my son is starting to get the door for me. I said, let him.
Yeah.
Let him.
Should have been getting
Right. Let him.
And pumping the gas and everything
right,
else.
all of that, because gone are the days, or it seems, and I hope that there's a pivot somewhere in my lifetime, but it seems that gone are the days where men are taught to be men.
Right.
It seems as though now that young men are taught to still be boys.
Right.
I saw something that was real ironic to me the other day. I'm at the gas station, and this lady's in the car with a young man. He was in the passenger seat. She was driving.
And she
got out to pump the gas. That was sickening to me.
Right, that's the problem.
It is, but it's on us, Ken, the men.
Yeah.
I'm just, it's not going to end. Let me say this, Bishop. It's not going to end unless.
Sport coat. And you don't see that.
Right.
Yeah.
Simple things like that.
Yeah. And that's why we have to do mentoring, and we all know that. It's such a, like they say, the harvest is plentiful, but the labors are few.
Yeah.
And that's just
true. And there are a lot of great organizations out there that are doing the work, but it's so much work.
It's so much.
And when it's not being reinforced in the home sometimes, and you have to fight in the schools to get reinforced, it just makes it that much more difficult when you have so many kids to reach.
Yeah.
And the parents are unaware themselves nowadays.
Right, they
as well.
can't teach you because they don't know.
Yeah.
It's a reason they took discipline out of school.
Well,
There's a reason.
I hate it, but I get you.
School to prison
Pipeline.
It's
all about the money, huh?
It's a money.
Where the money resides, where the money resides.
It's all about it. But hey, it's Motivation Monday presented by Getting to the Issue. We are here with our special guest, Ms. Kim Bro with Fleurty Wick Brands. Just having a conversation, celebrating women as we close out Women's History Month. Kim has been a strong supporter of us, and we want to continue to celebrate you, my sister.
Thank you.
We thank you for being here with us today. You shared so much, what you're doing. And, we often do our closing comments, and so just make sure you share your social media platform and all the different ways you can be reached, as we close out, and we hope to have you again,
Thank you.
in the coming year, But so as we do our closing comments, you have anything, Nate, before we?
Yeah, like I always say to our viewers, keep faith, Work hard. Without a vision, you got to put a little action behind it,
That's it.
and you will succeed. Keep faith in God, and your time too is coming.
That's right.
Good stuff. First of all, Kim, thank you for taking out of your non-sleeping day and spending time with us. You know, we dare not take it for granted.
No, I always enjoy spending time.
And we haven't taken for granted what you did for us. You really don't understand what that did for our platform, and even bigger than that, what it did for our attitude and our self-esteem. Because
Come on, Bishop.
Really, to be quite honest, because at that time we might have been 15 viewers, right? and it made the difference, right? Because it's like, well, she giving us candles, we might as well keep going, right?
I saw you doing a good thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do something nice for them.
and we appreciate it. And so, I like I said, we dare not take for granted. I personally thank you. And we appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. And like Dre said, we want to have you back because you said a whole lot of things that in the time constraints we couldn't unpack, that I really want to peel the onion back some and get into your head just a little bit, especially in terms of how do women have business models, business strategies, what that looks like, right? And give an ABCD kind of conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the comments and the views right now, I mean, such an inspiration, motivation, all that. Yes, we got a few viewers here, and they're really inspired by your work.
Thank you.
Wow. Kim, any last parting words?
Last parting words. Thank you. I appreciate it. I always support the brothers as much as I can. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, and this is the type of dialogue that we need in the community. That's it. Kim Bro, Fleurty Wick Candle, at Fleurty Wick on all social media platforms. And I guess just want to say to the women out there, because I love my women, just get a plan and execute it.
There you go.
You have got to execute. It's not enough to have a plan and sit on it. Anyone that I mentor, they know I keep them accountable. You got to execute. So if you don't get anything from this, get off the plan, execute it.
So you're just sitting on it, it's just a pipe dream, right?
That's right.
I just want to say thank you. Great dialogue. She really dropped some nuggets. Just let you know how good you're doing right now.
Wow, that's great. As always, Ken, we really appreciate you. We thank you for your time, and we wish continued blessings with your business.
Thank you.
As Bishop mentioned, when you reached out to us, that was just like extra motivation. Right. It was confirmation and affirmation.
Good.
Because we would just sit around, we just have conversation and talk about a multitude of things. And so when this started, we often like to let people know this is all about economic mobility in the mainstream economy of America. So we talk about a multitude of topics, but it all drives and it's all focused on making sure that we're economically mobile to do what we need to do. Whether it's in conversation, bringing people on about investing and real estate and business owners, a number of different topics, because as you mentioned, the dialogue is so key, and we don't get a chance to hear it oftentimes not for free anyway.
Of course.
Right?
Right.
I know, we all have invested in ourselves, and so we know this cost, but we definitely appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we thank you for all the viewers and all our sponsors, of course, Fleurty Brand, Assist Cigar, the Mega Quan Show, the original Getting to the Issue panelists, all the ladies back this year. Support one another, and we'll continue to push this. We are rounding out the celebration of Women's History Month, but of course, we celebrate women in 365. 365.
Can we do something real quick? Oh, I'm sorry, Trey. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Can we just applaud all the women?
Oh yeah.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate our women.
We had some excellent panelists. We had other business owners, but also we had elected officials. We had community advocates. We had Cigar and Epicure. So we, Dee, Miss Carmen the Goon. So we just really appreciate and have an opportunity to celebrate women because we know there's some inequities that our women still face, particularly our black women. But you all are on the cutting edge, and we're trying to catch up. I'm just being honest. We're trying to catch up. We know that there's some barriers that put in place intentionally, but we can't let that stop us.
That part.
And I want to say this one thing to the fellas out there. If you have a lady that's aspiring to be whatever, be the back. She don't have no back. You should be her back.
That's right.
Be her back. Be the wind, blow under her wings. Whatever that looks like, that's mandatory, because what it does is it speaks to the love you have for that lady. And if you're not doing that, you really need to question yourself.
That's right.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Any ladies out there that's an interior designer, get into the issue, would like you to come to our location and set up our location. So we'll pay you. If you're out there and you're an interior designer, please reach out to us. We got something for you. All right.
That's good stuff, mate. So as we often do,
That's been good, but
yeah. As we often do, we want to thank the man above for allowing us to be here, and we'll close out in a word of prayer, Bishop.
yes, sir. Heavenly Father, it's just so wonderful to be in your presence, God. We recognize that you're in this place, and God, we thank you for your presence here. We thank you for all that you're doing and all that you've done. We pray a special prayer over Kim, her brand, and all the things that she's strategically trying to do, God. We ask that you be in the midst of that you touch her, you hold her, you keep her, you mold her, God, because we know that she's one of yours, God. We ask that you touch every viewer, touch all of us here at Getting to the Issue, God. We ask that you continue to be with us and be present with us, and we thank you for just all you do and all you're doing. In your son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen, Bishop.